In a traditional way, what you had was like you had a server. This was called Oracle database server. Now, under this Oracle database server, you had a database. I give it as ICRA. Okay, ICRA database. This is the name of the database. ICRA database. This is the name of the database. Under this database, you have the data of ICRA. ICRA is a school. Okay. Now, this will have tables related to students. Then you have faculty or teachers. Then you have admin. Then you have department. Okay. Then XYZ. It may be anything actually. Student parents, parents of the students. So these are some of the tables that are already there in the database. Okay. Now you have a database server, you have a database name, then this database itself is called as an instance. What is it called? It is
Instance.
called as an instance. You can have multiple instance in a server. Okay. Like for example, I delete this and I oops, sorry. So UIC also runs a school. So it is a UIC database. So both these databases are in a single server. Try to understand this concept. Okay, both these databases are in a single server. Now these are called ICRA database instance, and here you have a UIC database instance. But if you so holistically, you still call it as a ICRA database server. This is a server, the whole actual physical server. You have two database instances here. Okay. Now there is a slight differentiation between this database instance and database server and a data warehouse. In a data warehouse, what happens here is in ICRA database, there you create a database. Let's get into that one later. So, but this is a database instance one. This is an instance two. One, and this is instance two. So these are two different instances in the same database server. You can have this kind of a setup. So, however, this both instances use the resources of this database server. What are the physical resources? You have the CPU, the memory, the storage, all those things of this database server is being used. Now, what AWS and Oracle, everybody on the cloud, what happens here is earlier you had to create a server, then you had to create a database server. Creation of a database server itself is a complicated process wherein you allocate memory, you allocate configuration, where your data files get stored, where your log files get stored. All those things you create, you configure, and you maintain that record. Now, all that headache is taken over by our Amazon. companies like Amazon, Oracle, everybody has now taken over that and given you something called as a software as a service. SaaS, software as a service. So everything is now as a service. What you need to do is every company will give you the Oracle database server. You just need to name. I have my name. The name of my database is Ikra. My name of database is UIC. How many tables I have? These are my tables. How many data rows I have? I can simply with a kind of a click of a mouse, I can create a database within a fraction of, I mean, within 10-15 minutes, I can create a complete database. Earlier, creating a database itself, database server, to be able to create the table itself used to take at least 3-4 days. It was kind of a tedious job. Now everything can be created within 10 to 15 minutes. That is called software as a, because everything is pre-configured for you. Everything there, what kind of backup, how many days, there, as I told you, we discussed in one of the session about incremental backup and continuous backup. So those kind of concept, everything is taken care of by the service provider. Who is the service provider here? Amazon is the service provider. So you just buy a service from them. You define how much CPU you want, how much memory you want. Amazon manages the backup. You don't have to do any backup because you don't manage the server. You don't manage the Oracle database server. Amazon manages here. So you don't manage the backups. You don't do the software patching. You don't do failure detection, recovery, nothing you do. You just may enjoy your database residing on the service from AWS. Okay, that's all about AWS RDS. Now, security groups, as we know, to access to any server, you need to have a firewall access. So that is same way AWS RDS also needs inbound and outbound access via security groups. So whatever whoever wants to access the database on whatever port, you need to use security groups to control the access to the database instance. So
So
I've given.
Salim bhai, if I have any issue with my database, let's say,
Mhm.
um, so I'm using Amazon RDS, and then these guys handle everything on the back end, like everything, backups and stuff like that, right? So how they are going to basically protect my data from corruption and the, like if let's say if it's corrupted, they can't even do anything. Will they?
So that is the reason actually there are multiple configurations. Like we'll study more in detail about that one actually. What are the mitigation? Those are called mitigation plans. If my database is crashed, how will
Mhm.
I recover it? If my database, what's the guarantee that my database does not get corrupted? All those are mitigation plans. We'll discuss further on
Okay.
that. Okay.
Okay.
So a database instance is an isolated database environment in AWS cloud. So this is a kind of a concept actually. If you read the AWS document, it will not clearly, you will not be able to clearly understand, but this is how I would say this is an instance. Remember that. Okay. The same thing, you create an instance in AWS, same way, just like the same way how you created EC2 servers and call it as EC2 instances, same way database server and database instance. Now here the option is like they, for every database, you don't have an option to create two database instances in one server in AWS as software. That's money making for them. So for one database, there is only one server that they allocate. So it's all dedicated actually. You cannot have two databases in one server. So that is why it is called as a database instance here. So it comes with three magnetic types, three types of storage. You know, we all discussed about, we know what magnetic storage is, what a general purpose SSD and a provisioned IOPS, right? So they, in 2020, now November, last month, they also released another kind of a storage called GP3. So that was a new storage they launched. Even I have not uh, used it. So they just launched it. Uh, So they launched this new service. So introducing new Amazon GP. So December 1st they launched actually. So this is another kind of this one. It gives very high IOPS. I think 40,000 IOPS. So it is a SSD volume, next generation SSD volume with 20% below this one. What are the IOPS here? We are concerned about 3,000 IOPS to 16,000 IOPS. So what's the difference? Okay, it's a dynamic kind of a IOPS. Okay, without with GP3 volumes, customer can scale IOPS and throughput without needing to provision additional block storage capacity. Okay. Okay, so it's a kind of elastic, more of elastic. So your IOPS can be increased dynamically. You don't have to predefine your IOPS. So that's what it says actually. But I need to do a little bit of more. But they introduced this new kind of storage for use. So that's not added in my zone. So earlier these are only three available options. You had a general purpose. This is called GP2. Then you have the provision drives and the magnetic drives actually. Amazon Aurora is a product. It's a product from Amazon for RDS. Now, Oracle has its Oracle database, MySQL has MySQL database, Microsoft has its Microsoft SQL Server, IBM has its DB2 server. Same way, Amazon has its own relationship database management server, which is called Aurora. Now, it markets this product out of all the other product because that's their proprietary product and they try to make money out of it. So for that, they give a lot of additional benefits to customers when you use Amazon Aurora. So what are those additional benefits? Like it gives, it is designed, it guarantees 100% that this database is 99.99% available, and it has a replication of 6 copies across 3 availability zone. So what does this mean? Okay, let me use this. If this is your Aurora database, okay, consider this as your Aurora database. Now, this database is replicated six places. So if this database is replicated in 6 copies of replication in 3 availability zone, if this database crashes, right, your completely data is still available from another availability zone for accessing and for replication, for recreation of it. Now, whether it is a continuous backup or kind of continuous replication, synchronous replication, asynchronous, that we'll study further, but it is immediately available because even consider 2 of them crash, 3 of them crash, you still have 2 or 3 of them. So that is a kind of a guarantee which AWS gives, that it is replicated in as 6 different copies in 3 availability zones.
So Salim bhai, will it increase my like is this expensive and stuff?
This would be see, the costing would be yeah, it will be expensive
Because it's replicating.
yeah, absolutely. It will cost you. It will see when I say expensive, this is given to you as a service. So the replication is at the back end, right? So you're not paying for the replication copies. You're paying only for the service and the storage that you are that associated with the primary copy of it actually. So you're just paying for this one. You'll be only paying for this one. You'll not be paying for this one, but these as come as a package free of cost for you.
Okay.
It's a kind of a marketing strategy for Amazon that they give free these 3 things. You will not be directly able to access this. Remember this one. You do not have access to this one. This is all hidden for you. You have access to only this one. This fails immediately. Amazon makes it, gives you a provision where it will push this database to here actually, so that you can directly access. At one given point of time, you can access only one.
Basically, it's just for accessing from different points of the world.
that also is a helpful, that is called read replicas. I will come to that later.
Okay.
Uh,
Because if they are replicating and then not
they
allowing
are
you the
replicating
access.
behind the scene. Here, the replication is behind the scene. You cannot access this database, as I tell you.
Okay.
So you are still accessing this primary databases. So this, if you call it this as a parent, and these are replication one child two, like that, you are
Uh-huh.
not able to access these databases. These are only as a mitigation solution for you guys.
Okay. Is it okay? It's just a different question actually. So let's say I've given you some data in the a pen drive or something. Let's say you are providing services for storing my data,
Mhm.
and then you create 6 replications at different hard disk and store it different places. I can't access it from
No, that's a
those.
different concept. So that is, you are doing it. You are managing the server. You are storing in different places. You don't have to worry about the storage. How your data is stored, Amazon manages it actually. See, in your normal server,
Mhm.
you create a database, then you attach a
Yeah.
server,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Right. Here you
mhm.
are managing the server, you are managing the storage for it. In Amazon RDS, this is completely a black box for you. The
Mhm.
server is a black box, the storage is a black box. The only
Okay.
thing available is your database. Only the database is available to you. How your storage is handled, where it is getting stored, is none of your worry, none of your concern, and you will not be able to find that also.
So
Believe
this Amazon Aurora, is it just an internal or just it's available to everyone? Like because
me. It
it's
is internal to
replicating.
AWS. It is not available outside AWS.
I see.
It is a
Okay.
product of
That makes
AWS
sense.
and it is only internal to AWS.
Okay.
So
Makes
if
sense.
you
Okay.
want, if you created a database in Amazon Aurora, later point of time after 2 years, you decide, no, I don't want Amazon. I want to go into Azure or
Mhm.
Google Cloud. You will not be able to use Amazon Aurora there because it's a competitive product. So what you will have to migrate your database into Oracle or MySQL, Postgres, any of those kind of service, and then you can recreate that database in Azure or this one.
I
Whereas
see.
Postgres, MySQL Server, all those are generic databases that can be migrated to and from one account to another account anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check. That was an interesting question. Um, Amazon Aurora on Azure Cloud. Let's check that. It gives a Amazon.
Cosmos.
So there is no way. I don't think it gives only a difference actually. So see, there is a migration actually. So you are migrating from SQL Azure Microsoft SQL database to Amazon Aurora. You migrate it actually, but I don't think you can use Aurora database on Azure or Google Cloud, any other database. It's a competitive product. They'll not allow it.
Okay.
Okay.
I see. Cool.
But all other database that have been there for a very long time, they give them migration access actually, so we can port them and other things. Okay,
Okay.
get back to the slide. So Amazon Aurora is an offering from AWS actually. So it gives you parallel querying feature from provides faster analytical queries. So now this concept is also there in all of the other databases as well, but it gives an additional ability because it has a high amount of replication. We'll get to know this one. Just memorize this parallel querying. Amazon Aurora gives you parallel querying option actually. Oracle also gives you, but this is a faster analytical review. This they have presented as a kind of a selling point as well. Okay, MySQL does not give you parallel querying. It did not earlier. Yes, Susan? Okay, so and it can scale up to 64 terabyte database instances. So that's the size of the database. That's a very large. 64 terabyte is a pretty big database. Okay, so in one of my previous organization, we are handling up to 40 terabyte databases. It was 40 terabyte is a massive one actually. So, okay, read replicas. This is the most important concept of RDS. The most. You will 100% get an examination a question actually. Now, AWS provides something called read replicas. These are replicas of the database which are given to you for enhanced performance and durability. The way it works is you have on the right side, you have a primary database and there is an additional replica that it creates for faster accessing actually. Now what happens here is, now if you see here, now you have a Oracle database, for example. Now this read replica is specific to Amazon. So you have a Aurora database for here. This is your primary database, okay? Master database. Come on. Okay, this is your Aurora database. Now, all your application is stored here. Consider this is your application. No, let me put. This is your application. Your application stores here all your database. You are accessing your application from, you are a user. So this is the normal setup. Okay. Now, what Amazon gives is, it on the back end, it creates something called read replicas. Read replica is a replica of this database, Aurora server. Now there is, it's a replica of this database server, exactly the same copy. Now this replication is a asynchronous application. When you create a student name by name Idris, right? So you add those things. Now that data is available here, as well as after a fraction of few minutes, this is the asynchronous replication. The database is also pushed into this replicated server. Now data is already here as well. Now what happens here is, when this database crashes or becomes some kind of an error happens or gets corrupted, this read replica, okay, this read replica is pushed as a primary database. You can create a primary database using this read replica. Now the advantage of having a read replica is you can directly access the data from here also. Read replicas can be promoted when needed to become standalone databases. So there is a asynchronous replication. Now this, remember, this is only a read-only database. You cannot update here. You want to update, you need to update in the primary database. But this read replicas are in various availability zone that gives faster access to this end user. This is only in one location. These read replicas are in different availability zones. So that way it gives you access, faster access to the data. Just like your memory cache, memcached. So this is the additional kind of a caching service where you